Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the SNL channel. As you can see, the background looks very different, and if I go to my right, we have a Golf, and we have a Golf on a lift. So I recently got a lift in the yard, so let's spend the first bit of the video getting the Golf up in the air and actually having a look around this bit more in depth compared to what we could have done at home. So I'm going to quickly take the wheels off and then we're going to have a look around everything. So we have like all the wheels off, but this side somebody has decided that a locking wheel nut is necessary. I don't even know if this would have come from the factory with locking wheel nuts. It's that old. So I guess now I'm going to be showing you how to get a locking wheel nut off without the key, because I do not have that key. So here we are. We have a 20mm socket because a 19 is too small and a 21 goes straight over the top. This is just right. So what we want to do is hit this on. I don't even know if it's going to work. I've got a 3/4 inch Milwaukee gun with a drop down, just because we want to hit this with quite a bit of power, just to at least get it like starting to unthread. So now we just get on there, just like that. That's how you got your locking wheel nut out. And then to get out of there, you just want to get a screwdriver, put this in a vise, get a screwdriver and just knock it down like that, and it should come straight out. But this is our wheel off. Wow, that's crusty. And while we're here, we might as well start at the back. So we got our brake disc, solid brake disc, not looking too bad I guess. The caliper it's all got overspray on it, I've noticed. It's all got like a red tinge of overspray. That solid. Our wheel arch, there's been a little bit of welding now. I don't know if you can see the weld lines. A little bit of welding, a little bit more welding. But ultimately, we're not looking too bad back here. Whammy old coil spring. There's a hole there, I don't really know why. Hole there. And then I'm going to guess that's a brake hose, which is, so it's definitely had new brake hoses at some point. Not the prettiest, but I guess if it does the job, it does the job. The handbrake's off at the moment and I can't spin that, so that's not ideal. But let's send her up and have a look underneath. The first real time I'm looking underneath this. Obviously I've led underneath it, but it's a bit different when you've got it on a ramp. So if we start here, ultimately nothing looks amiss. Like everything's like just a little bit old. I took a drive shaft out just to move it around, and the same with this one. I've loosened that one, but I haven't taken it out. But everything looks alright. That's our gear selectors up here. And then we're coming on back a little bit surface there, so we'll make sure to treat that. That hole's meant to be there, which is a really weird statement. Exhaust has dropped because it's not connected to anything, so that's why that's dropped. We have original heat shields in place, which is crazy because I would have thought that they would have got lost somewhere. That's brand new fuel filter, that. That's good. This fuel tank's going to come out. Oh, this fuel tank's going to come out. They look crusty as hell. So I've got a brand new to me fuel tank over there. Let's have a look in this wheel arch. Again, everything looks relatively normal. I've got a new fuel tank because this one's probably old and crusty and horrible. So I bought a new one, dead cheap, and I cleaned it out. But I need to figure out why. The handbrake's off. But this, to me that looks off. The cable's loose. Sorry, that was terrible. The cable's loose here, but I should be able to sort of grab this and spin. Oh, okay, I can, but it takes a lot more effort than it probably should. This back box looks cool. I can't see no branding on it. Oh, there's a sticker. Oh, I think it's a... Ah, okay, so it's a Sportex back box. Can you see that? Sportex back box. That's an eBay special. That's hanging on for dear life. But these calipers don't actually look that old, so maybe it just needs like a brake fluid flush and clean. Okay, so we've got a little bit of rust here. I think I knew about that, but that ultimately isn't the end of the world. And in there, that is not rusty in there. So small patch over that and we'll be laughing. Okay, it's had a small patch behind the shock. I don't know if you can see that. But everywhere else, okay, might need a touch of weld up there. But ultimately, as far as sills and everything else goes, okay, a little patch there. We have a fairly clean cut. So over here you can see I have prepped for this fuel tank to come out. I have taken one bolt out because, well, I did film it, but for some reason didn't want to stay. So now we got a 13 up here and we got follow straps and we've got two 13s the other side. So I'm going to get that on a gun because I am lazy and we're going to get that off now. We have a 13, and another 13. So this one can just drop out on the floor because we had already taken that off the other side. But because I want to make sure I put the tank in the right place, that one can go there because it's the one all the way on the right. There's another bolt that can live down there. And then over here we have the third one. It's a bit harder to get to, but... and that is our tank almost free. We just have this here. And this is holding it all together. Right, I'm going to organise these tank straps quick. And then we're going to drop the tank. So now the tank is literally just being held up by this transmission jack, I believe. There we go. We can see her moving. There is fuel in here. How much, I don't know, but there is fuel in here. Because I put, so it's at least 5 litres, because I put 5 litres in it. So you see there, you can't even see in here. 1 second. Can you see in there? We have a plug and in a feed and a return line. So we need to get this plug off, which I can't see the clip. So plug off, 7mm on here, get that out, and then we should be able to drop the tank then. So I'm going to get those off real quick and then we'll get the tank out. So after great difficulty with that plug, you can see this plug, right? You squeeze these two metal things in, and when that's in there, there is no space. So after that, we should be okay just to lower the tank on down. But I'm going to need 2 hands to support this. So I'll catch up with you when the tank is there. So we've got the tank out, and you might be thinking, why are you taking the tank out? On the last video you did on this car, you know it was getting fuel, which is correct. I did know it was getting fuel. However, when I bought that tank before, I tested the fuel, okay? And the reason I did that is just why not, basically. I found it online on Facebook Marketplace, met this really nice fella, went and picked it up before I tested the fuel, okay? And when I looked in that tank, okay, it was like orange, congealed shit. Genuine look like shit in there. So we're gonna get this ring off, which it doesn't actually look like it's been off before. Like usually, like people just put a screwdriver in there and just knock them round. So that's fine. And like that tube is like considerably darker than the one that's on over there. There is fuel in it. I don't know how much, but let's get this off and try have a gander of what the conditions like in there. That one I've jet washed inside and out. I know it doesn't look like it right now because it's dusty because it's sat there for a few weeks, but we've jet washed that one a million times. So everyone, we literally just got this fuel pump out, and to be fair, it doesn't actually look in that bad a condition. Bit of corrosion on the pins, but nothing unnormal, unnatural. And looking in here, I don't know how well you can see, there's lots of bits in there and stuff, but ultimately it's not actually too bad, like to what you wouldn't expect from a car of its age. But it's one of these things that it's not going to hurt it by putting a new one in. What I'm going to do probably is use the new tank, because I've cleaned it. I've spent ages cleaning it. Compare my two fuel pumps, or lifter pumps, or whatever you want to call them. See which one's in better condition, and then like just make a Frankenstein of the both. So that's what we're looking at the moment. We're going to pull that tank out. We're going to have a look at which one's in better condition and which one is worth using for this. Because if I can help it, I don't really want to be dropping that tank again. Just unnecessary. So I'm going to pull that one out. That's down there. That way. I don't know. And then, yeah, we'll get another tank back in, and then we'll move on to the engine. So guys, we have this built up. I've just given it a bit of a wipe over with the G101. Here is what come out of the spare tank. So this is, it's not toast, it probably works, but like that doesn't freely move. Which it freely moves, but like you kind of got to force it to move, and then it doesn't drop on its own. So obviously that's for your fuel level, so that's obviously no good. Whether the fuel pump works or not, I don't know. It's obviously got quite a fair bit of corrosion on it, like everywhere. So, and that wire's snapped too, so it wouldn't even send a reading. So I've just put the old fuel pump back in on the new tank, just give it a wipe over. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get it back up there, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing anyway. In regards to this part of the fuel pump here, that looks like it's had some attention recently, if I'm honest with you. Obviously it's got a new fuel filter on it, which is excellent. Is it on the right way? I'd say so. Usually that's about right. I'm going to guess that's another mini fuel pump, this one here. And then that sends it through these lines here that go to the front of the car. Obviously one of them's a return line, but see what happens, hey? Okay, so it goes out this way, into there, out this side, up over the top, and that is our feed pipe, so which means the thicker one's a return. Which is weird, I thought it'd be the other way around. But ultimately, I'm going to just get this fuel tank back up. It's literally just what I did before, back up, tank straps in, then we can move on to the front of the vehicle. So, welcome back to underneath of the bonnet of the Golf. So I've done a little bit of preparation off the camera, and as you can see, that is a brand new shiny head gasket. And for anybody who doesn't know what a head gasket is, basically between your cylinder head, which is what we took off on another video, and the block of the engine, there is a gasket. This one is quite thick, couldn't tell you how thick, and basically it just seals it. Obviously you've got coolant channels, you've got oil channels, you've obviously got pistons, and there needs to be compression there, so that helps facilitate all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild the head up. If you can't remember, on the head, on the back side of it is where the intake and the exhaust are, which is a little bit of a pain to do when it's in the car. So I'm going to go ahead and build it up outside the car, and I'll show you the process of that. I've got a gasket kit, and then we'll get the head back on and we'll get them all torqued down correctly. So guys, this is the head. This is what we took off in the last video. Obviously this is your camshaft. This rotates by this, which is obviously on the bottom. The belt, which is connected from the cam to the crank, so when it's all spinning in time. It's our fuel rail, which we know that works, and this is basically as far as we needed to go to get it sent off for skimming. And for anybody who doesn't know what skimming is, let me turn this over, just like that, enough so I can show you. So you see how that has a nice clean surface all on here. So basically it gets put on a machine and they take off a small amount of material to make it level again, make it a perfectly flat surface. And as you can see, we're at top dead center is on the back side of this. Again, I'm going to flip it over and show you. So if you remember from the previous videos, the back side of this engine here is where the inlet and the exhaust manifolds sit. I believe that's exhaust, 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 and then these are the inlets. And we've got some gaskets for them. So these will sit along here somewhere, and we're going to build this up before we go any further. I think this is actually the wrong gaskets, but hey ho, we've got gaskets for them. We'll build this up and then we'll get the head back on. So, sorry about the terrible camera angle, but you can see we have got our exhaust gaskets in place. They're individuals on here. We're just lining up that other gasket. So now we just stick this over, make sure we're going into all of the exhaust studs, and then rather than using the old ones, I've got some new washers and nuts for it. So we're just going to stick all these on. And again, this, some might argue this should be done on the car, some might argue it should be done on the car, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and say it doesn't matter as long as it's done. The reason, like I said, the reason I'm not doing it on the car is because it's right at the back of the engine, and with it being at the back of the engine, it's extremely difficult to just reach anything. I mean, I can go from underneath, but then I've got to put the manifold on the top, on through the top of the engine bay, then get underneath it, and then screw everything together, which to me just seems a little bit long. So if yes, this is going to make it heavier and a bit more challenging putting it into place, but at least it's on, and we've got new nuts and new washers, and we're laughing. Torque specs, tight. I don't know what the torque specs are. I can't imagine there'll be anything too much, as long as they're on and they're tight and it's squashed the gasket in place, then I don't think we'll have any problems. These are just 13mm nuts, exactly the same as the ones that come off it. See, these are the ones that come off it. They're a little bit thinner. I think these are like 10mm, but it doesn't matter. A bolt's a bolt. So now you can see we have our exhaust manifold on. Just leaves our inlet on now, which is over here, and then our gasket, which is down here. So this gasket will sit right in here. Obviously that's not lined up properly. I'll make sure that's lined up, and then these are held in just with these Allen pieces here. See them? Just a size 5 Allen key. Some of them are a little bit rounded, so we've just got to go careful putting that in. And then that is both our inlet and exhaust manifolds in place. So now we're back at the engine bay. We're back here again. You can see our nice brand new head gasket. It's all nice in place and it's sitting nice and flat. Literally to the left of the camera is the head. So what I've got to do now is somewhat gently lift this head down here and into place. With that, let's put this in. Very heavy, very heavy. Right, that's the head somewhat in place. So now with the head bolts to go, and looking at the gasket, I didn't fuck it up, which is brilliant. So when it comes to putting your head bolts in, the head bolts should be oiled, so just cover them in a little bit of oil and then drop them in. Just going to make sure that I'm getting a thread on nicely, which I am. So what you want to do is just get them all in one by one and just get them hand tight like that. So you can just see me carrying on going through these bolts. Basically what I've got is I've got a pot next to me. As I just explained, I'm putting all the threads in oil. Most manufacturers of head bolts and any manuals and anything you'll see, they'll say you've got to coat your threads in oil before putting them in. I think it's just to make the thread go down easier and to tighten down better. And as you'll notice on the video, I'm going out in a star, like in a star-ish pattern, but working my way from the inside outwards. So like the two in the middle are 1 and 2, and then it goes out like evenly towards the outside. And this is just to make sure that the head is going down onto the block even and flat, so everything will work nicely and that gasket will get pressure on it evenly and you don't end up warping the head that you've just had skimmed. So that's what I'm doing here, and then eventually you've got to go through a torquing sequence. So there we go. As you can see, all the head bolts are in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the torquing sequence on this is 40 newton meters, 1 through 10, 60 newton meters, 1 through 10, and then a further 90 degrees. So that is what we're going to set up now. I just want to clarify something because somebody will pick this up. So here is the torquing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the torquing sequence. So here we're just about to start the torquing sequence, and even when I was trying to explain the torquing sequence, I had one of them messed around and I had it mixed up, but basically that was right. I do it correctly in the next series of clicking of torquing these bolts. Right. Don't want. So as you would have seen from that previous clip, we talked to 40 newton meters, then we talked to 60 newton meters, and now I don't know if you can see, I've put a daub of paint pen on each head of the bolt, as we now need to turn them an extra 90 degrees, and then that is a head torqued to spec. So what I'm doing here with the breaker bar is turning this an extra 90 degrees. So in the factory torque specs, it's tightened to 40 newton meters, 60 newton meters, then a further 90 degrees. And this is what I'm doing here, and the reason I did the paint marks is because you can see it looks like I'm turning the bar more than 90 degrees, when actually there's just a little bit of flex between the head of the breaker bar and the actual M12 multi-spline bit itself. That combined with the fittings and the extension bar, it doesn't show a true 90 degrees. There we go. As you can see, all of the paint marks have now rotated 90 degrees, and the thing is, you can do it. So obviously we all know what 90 degrees is, but it's quite easy just to be a little bit out. So just a little paint mark does just make it a safe option. We now need to build that up. Rocker cover on, fuel lines back on, airbox back on, so that is the next protocol. So here's where we're at. The rocker cover's on, but I forgot to put a bit of plastic in. You may notice that the dizzy is out because I was lining that little thing up down there. It's not quite in line yet, but nearly. And the timing belt is now on. You can see, or potentially see, on here, I don't know if you can see it, but right there is a timing mark. Might help if I got a torch on it maybe. You can see there's a timing mark on it, that lines up with the top of the head. And then in here, in the inspection hole, can you see that little V below the green bit? It's sort of off-centered, but that's because of the angle that I'm looking at. But that means that's top dead center. And then, finally, when you come under here into the wheel arch, so I was turning the crank over a minute ago, that's why this is in the way. On here, you see that little dot there? On this pulley or this cog or whatever, there's a little dot on there, and that has to line up with a little notch on here. Again, really difficult to see. And so yeah, that has been an absolute nightmare. I swear to God, it's taken me so much longer than I wanted it to, but we're on the way of getting it all back together. This autofocus is not working very well. But here she is in all of her glory. Right guys, it's currently the next day. So things took forever yesterday, so I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to give it a break and I'm going to come back to it. So let me show you where we're at. We've got the belt back on, here's the timing belt. We've sort of got this belt for this alternator back on. Got to just tension that up. That bolt was on like here, and then we use that to like pull it and push it forwards. We got to get our belt back on for our water pump down here and power steering pump, that's it. Then we got to get a dizzy cap back on, we got to get coolant hose back on, another coolant hose back on, sort of just plumb up the last few bits, and then we'll be good to go basically. So that's where we're at the moment. As you can see, we are all timed up. I don't know if you can see that at all. You don't know if you can quite see that timing mark or that timing mark, but we're timed up everywhere and we got that belt back on. So we'll be doing that. Basically the rebuild process is a little bit harder to film because it's just me on my own. Like I said, just need to tension this belt up, put the other belt on, and then we're laughing. So I'm going to crack on with that, and then I'll get back to you when we're putting some fuel in and we're ready to try and crank it. Here we go. Right, so obviously let's point out the obvious. That's not on because it's coolant. I can start it without that, that's fine. And the same goes to this one down here, but we have everything else plugged in. Sensor here, which I think is a camshaft sensor, and then we got our sensors down here, our dizzy. We got all of this built back up. This is like a vacuum box, I think, can't remember off the top of my head. And then we got idle control valve, we got a MAF sensor plugged in. I've just checked the voltage on this and this is flat, even though it's new, it's flat. I did leave the ignition on for at least 2 days by accident. We've got all of this built up. Don't know where this goes. This just goes to that coolant bottle over there. Again, not really relevant, but I'll plug it in anyway, just in case. We got a vacuum hose from our airbox going down here to our fuel pressure, for the fuel pressure, and to the manifold. This is for like our brake booster. A lot of it is like just in and not like overly tight. But let's get some fuel in it and then we'll give her a crank over. So this is sort of it, guys. This is like the moment before whether we find out if this engine is any good or not. I don't know why the paintwork looks so pink. It's honestly not that bad in person. But here's where we're at. Basically like 90% built up, and I've got fuel in it now and it's ready to try and crank it over. Are we ready? Right, that, look at it, it's mugging me right off. That, yeah, okay. I'm going to get the battery charger. While I get the battery charger, I'm going to check over all the connections, make sure I've got everything plumbed in necessary for the engine to run, and then we'll catch up later. You may be struggling to hear me because I've got to have the van running. My little battery pack has run out of charge. Battery charger just ain't working fast enough for my liking. Let's get this started right now. I know that ain't a lot, but it fired. Yeah, this is the furthest we've got so far, so that's amazing. I'm gonna keep playing around. The oil pressure lights flashing, so, and the oil pressure switch is definitely plugged in. Oh my god, just to get that far feels absolutely amazing. So, also it's so loud because the exhaust vent plumbed in. So I might have a look at that quickly to quieten it down. Obviously there's a lot of shaking going on, but yes. So you join me back in my van. So we're getting there, we're nearly there. We're really, really so close to being there. We just need to fine tune the edges. We need to get it to idle because it won't idle. It'll fire up now, but it won't idle. So either I haven't put the dizzy or the distribution cap in time properly, or, well, I don't really know what else it would be actually. So we need to figure that out and, you know, then start the rebuild of the interior because it's obviously still stripped. But for now, that is it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed. I think we're going to keep that engine. Obviously if I can get it running, that's all. So that is basically, that's the way it goes. And if you're enjoying this series, don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on any other social medias because I do sort of post over there a little bit too. Like this video if you've enjoyed, and don't forget to leave me a comment as well. If you have any input about the car, please let me know. But I'm excited to get this car on the road and drive it to Germany, because if I'm still going to do that, I'm determined to rebuild this and then drive it to Germany. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.